Have you ever wondered how difficult it is to play the oboe? Now, when I first started, I didn't realize how hard it was until I learned this one thing about the oboe, which blew my mind. That's right. So in today's video, we're going to be learning how to make a reed. So when I first started learning the oboe, I was given reeds to play on. And eventually I was told, you're going to have to make your very own reed. And that just blew my mind because this is a lot of work. But today I'm going to give you a beginner's guide on how to make a reed. And all you need to do is just have a couple materials and like 15 to 30 minutes. All right, so let's dive right into the video. All right, so before we make a reed, we need to talk about materials. So the first thing you want is a piece of cane. Next thing you're going to need is a staple. And this is what we're going to put the cane on. You need some thread. You need a mandrel. So the first thing you want to do is you want to soak your reed in water. Now, I've already done it for about 15 minutes, and that's all it needs. Usually, as soon as it starts to sink to the bottom, that's a good sign. But you just want to soak it for about 15 minutes at max, and then you're ready to tie it on. So you're going to want to get your little staple, and you're going to put it on your mandrel, like this. Now we're just going to put everything to the side, and we're going to tie on a thread. So there are several ways you can tie it on. Get your pieces like this. There's one here, another here. Now I'm going to put this piece underneath through. I'm going to pull it all the way through, and I'm going to do that 2 more times so that it stays secure. And then what I like to do is I like to put it to make sure it is good. Alright, so after you get it tied onto somewhere or someplace, like my chair, this is going to be a little awkward, but I think I'll be able to give you a better camera angle because I'm going to have to scoot forward. After you get it tied on, you're going to take your mandrel and staple and your piece of cane. And now you're going to get all of this in one hand like this. And then you're also going to grab your ruler. So you should be holding almost everything and going to do your measurement with one hand. So I personally love doing it at 73 millimeters. So that's starting at the base of the cork. So right there, so remember those two numbers, 73 and 47. 73 is the top and 47 is where the thread cannot pass. So how we're going to do this is we're going to just get a hold of everything in one hand. I like to do a couple of loops on my thread like this and make sure it's securely tight. And you're holding everything with one hand like this. Here's kind of a clip of what it should look like. I don't know if you can see it still, but you're going to go up. And as you're going up, you're going to try to close both the openings of the cane from both sides evenly. So what I like to do is use my finger and press around it and wiggle a little bit so that way the opening of the reed is consistent from both sides. And if for whatever reason that's not working, just undo it and just start over again. And then you can just kind of roll it up and then make a loop. And you see that this side is closed, but the other side's open. So what I want to do is kind of just wiggle it around so that way they're both kind of even. And then once I do that, I just keep going up. And once you get to the point that you want to measure it once again to make sure it's closed and you want to see how high you can keep going. And once you get to this point, you want to measure it again and both sides are closed. So I'll go 1 or 2 loops and then I'll stop, remeasure. You do like 1, roll it up, 2, roll it up, 3, and keep doing that. You want to do is make sure that everything is secure. So while you're rolling it up, you're trying to even it out so that way they close both evenly. It's going to be one side that will be open and the other side will be closed. You don't want that. You want both sides to close at the same time and at the 47 mark, preferably. But each reed is different, so you might not be so lucky. So you do this little handhold thing that I like to call the reed maker's hand grip. And as you can see, I'm holding everything with one hand. So you want it within 1 millimeter under. You don't want to go over. If you go over, you will have to undo it because if you do go over, you're just going to choke the reed. So once we're there, I can do 1 more loop. Now this should be the 47. And from this point, we're going to do a crossover. So this crossing over means we're going to go up. So you just make a diagonal on the reed and then secure that. I'd go 1 more loop or 2 down. And then before I go any further, I hold everything and measure again. So once you do that, you keep going, and if it's at 47 and the crossover looks good, go all the way down. So we'll keep doing that, going and going and going. And if this is your first read, it's going to look like trash. But the goal is you want to start making it look better and better the more you do it. So just keep going and going, and eventually you're going to get to the bottom. But before you do anything further, do it so that you're only one loop above the bottom. And then we have to tie it. So how do we tie it? I like to do this little loop. So you have two fingers go underneath, go up, and then with this little opening, we put it in the reed. And then you make sure it goes all the way down and you tighten it. And I usually do it like 3 times. So like that. So I usually use a knife or a little razor blade. Cut it off and cut off this. There you have it. So this is the reed. It should have a crossover. It should go all the way to the bottom, and this is what we call a blank. If you need help, rewatch this video or ask your private instructor. When you're making a reed blank, always make sure you're holding it tight. Make sure you have a good grip on both the cane, the thread, and the mandrel, because it's easy to slip off. So if you have any more questions or comments, please leave it down below, and I'd love to read them. All right, guys. See ya.